Here's me in my happy place, in a retro arcade playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What more could a 40-something guy ask for? Well, if you like retro arcade games and you happen to find yourself in Nagoya, Japan, then this is the video for you. If you've seen my channel before, you've probably seen the videos I made about arcade games in Tokyo and Osaka. Well, Nagoya, besides being the third major metropolis in Japan, also has the distinction of being my home for almost 20 years. So I'd be remiss if I didn't make a video about the retro arcade scene here. Now I'll be honest, retro arcades are few and far between, and the few that are around are not in the best of shape. Luckily, however, they aren't all that far from each other, so you won't have to travel far to see all that Nagoya has to offer for retro games. We'll start off at Nagoya Station. Just a few blocks east of the station is Comtech Tower. This arcade is spread out over 4 floors, divided by game type with prize games and photo booths on the first floor, crane games on the second floor, rhythm games on the third floor, and fighting games on the fourth floor. Back in the corner of the fourth floor, you'll find a few classic candy cabs. There used to be a lot more of these, but over time they've been replaced with newer machines that actually make money. Still, the cabinets that they do have the multi-game type, so you can choose basically any game you want. This place isn't really a retro arcade so much as a modern arcade with vestigial retro trappings, like these old skill games or these neon lights. After you're done here, you can cut through the station to the west side, and about a 10-minute walk will land you at Game Box Q3. This place is really the only place in Nagoya that can properly be called a retro arcade. It might look sort of dingy and run down, but it's actually only about 10 years old. It has a nice collection of classic Japanese cabinets, and the kicker is, most of these games are only 50 yen, so it's easy on the wallet as well. Now I know in this video it looks empty and half of the machines are off, but that's because I showed up on a weekday in the middle of the day. Almost all retro arcades look like this during the off hours, with half the machines turned off to save on electricity. But there's actually a decent scene of regulars that gather here, especially for fighting game tournaments. Look, here's the leaderboards. And here's another board with messages from visitors from all over the world. Most of these machines are in working order, you just have to turn on whichever one you want to play. Again, I opted for a multi-game cabinet, and I got down with some classic Konami TMNT. The next stop is in the Osu Shopping Street. This is the center of retro game shopping in Nagoya, with Super Potato, Surugaya, and several local shops with almost anything that you might be looking for. But what we're looking for is arcades, and there's one inside this shopping arcade called Phoedra, although it's now become a Taito station. To find the retro games, we need to go to the second floor, where there's a few classic candy cabs tucked away in the corner. The selection is limited to around 10 machines, but there are almost always people here playing them, so hopefully they'll be around for many years to come. I found a Metal Slug cabinet, which is one of my all-time favorite run and gun games, so this one cabinet alone makes it worth the visit for me. The benefit of a mixed arcade like this is, as opposed to a dedicated retro arcade, I can come here with my family and not bore them to death. While they play crane games and Taiko no Tatsujin, I can bathe in the glow of the cathode rays. Just a 5-minute walk from here is, at least in my experience, the smallest arcade in Japan. The place is called Garo-Spe Stadium. Garo-Spe is short for Garo Densetsu Special, which is the Japanese name for the game Fatal Fury, and that is all that they have here. In other words, this is a Fatal Fury specialty shop. Retro arcades are already pretty niche, and arcades that only specialize in fighting games even more so. But this place specializes in a particular version of a particular fighting game. But despite the narrow scope and the even narrower space that it's in, this place has a loyal customer base that keeps it running. I guess sometimes it pays to specialize. For our last and final stop, we'll hop on the subway at Kamimayazu Station and ride it a couple stops down to Kanayama to Comtech Square, the sister store to Comtech Tower. Much like the main branch, this one is also divided into several sections by genre, such as rhythm games, fighting games, racing games, and so on. The people who come here are pretty hardcore, and they even have benches for people to wait their turn for popular cabinets. Up on the second floor, they've got a humble collection of old Astro City cabinets. These are running multiple arcade boards, so you can choose which game you want to play. There's also a few cabinets over here in disrepair. It isn't a big collection, but on weekends you can get 2 credits for the price of 1, which is a pretty good deal. Much like my videos on retro arcades from Tokyo and Osaka, this is far from an exhaustive list. But if you actually know of any arcades in Nagoya, let me know in the comments because I actually really want to go. As always, I'll include a Google map in the description of the video, so if you find yourself in Nagoya, make sure to hit these places up, because they won't be here forever.